Hi all, welcome to another video. And I can't believe I'm saying this again, but I'm saying it again. It's been a while since I made one of these videos. So yeah, it has indeed been some time since I made this video. And in this video, I'll just share a little bit about what's been keeping me busy the last few weeks or so since I made one of the videos. So I believe the last video that I made was in like on the 28th or 29th or 30th of July. I can't. And now we're 15th of August. Oh my God, yeah. So it has been like 2 weeks, and this obviously goes against my plan of making this video, making one of these videos and putting it out there like almost every single day or every second day. So yeah, what's been happening? To be honest, what's been happening is that I've just been fairly busy with a lot of things that are happening. You know what? Sorry, I completely forgot. So as is tradition, welcome to the video, and it's a really, really miserable day here in Sydney. I mean, I'm looking out my balcony right now, and it's a really bad day. Like it's cloudy, and it was raining last night, and it might even rain a little bit today. No, it was raining this morning, but it's stopped now. So terrible weather. But the weekend's going to be sunny, so there's an upside to it. So yeah. All right. So yeah, it's been an interesting few weeks, and so what has been happening? So you may know that I've been looking for my next look for a new opportunity, looking for my next role, and that's obviously very time consuming, the whole job application process. And not only do I apply, but also get contacted in for certain roles and things. And then there's a lot of them result into this really long conversations with the recruiters or the recruitment partners for the organizations. And spending about half an hour talking, and then they make the application. Sometimes something comes through, sometimes it doesn't really come through. So it is what it is, and it is something that we need to. It is the market right now. It's something that we need to work with. So that's taken up a fair amount of time, more so than I expected. And then the other thing was one of the rules that I applied to. So this is another tech startup here in Sydney, and they've got this really long interview process where it goes for about 6 stages. They're a very early stage company, and it goes for about 6 stages, and then yeah. So I did the I think I got up to fourth stage, and the thing was with so they had like a take home test tech assessment of sorts. And in that one, so I got a bit fascinated by what it was. So it was it was reviewing an application. It was a full stack application with like Python, and then it was a back end, then a front end, and then obviously coupled with the front end was a BFF. That's back end for front end. This is a pattern that um, a lot of people are using these days. A lot of big organizations are using these days, simply because in the microservice architecture, uh, your UI or the front end of the app could it could serve. There could be many separate front ends for your application. Like you could have a mobile app, you could have a web app, or a progressive web app, or so on and so forth. And then each of these, they require different sort of data from the back end. So I'll obviously touch on this a bit more in a future video. I'll just make a video to cover BFFs. But yeah, so what I was trying to say is, like, if you've got a few different apps, like front ends, and then you've got instead of having like a single backend where like you get all the data, or instead of making changes to the backend and adding separate APIs or API endpoints to serve the data depending on the client that's looking for, what you could do is you could build a BFF, which is like a backend which is just for front end. So in my experience, what I've worked with is that you've got a React app, and then you've got a Node.js backend that's tightly coupled with the React app. So what that does is the purpose of this backend is that it will get the data from the API, from the the actual backend, that's like the API, and it will tailor it to the client needs. So if it's a progressive web app, it will send, which only requires a certain amount of data, it will send that through. If it's a web app or a mobile app, it will send it accordingly based on their needs. That's the whole idea of like a BFF pattern. It's a very microservices thing, and I'd say unless you've got a massive application or you're a large enterprise, don't worry about BFF. I only know about this because I was working at a bank. So why would this startup work with BFF? That beats me. But that's a use case, and I suppose they're trying to see, trying to test the waters for what sort of what's out there. Um, yeah, so they had that tech test assessment. Now, what was interesting about that is they had the backend was actually in Python, and not just Python, it was FastAPI, an API built with Python FastAPI. And this is cool because I do know FastAPI. I listen to tech podcasts, and while I don't remember exactly which tech podcast, but one of the tech podcasts that I listened to, there was the guy. I think the blog that wrote the FastAPI framework, and yeah, I heard him talk about it. And FastAPI, I was like, yeah, this is pretty cool. So when I saw this, I'm like, FastAPI is really cool. So let me have a play with it. So I did have a play with it, and I built like a little API and all that. You can actually see that on GitHub. It's built a little app called leaderboard Python, which has got a front end React app and then a Python backend. So you can have a look at that. It is pretty interesting. FastAPI is, as the name implies, it's fast, and you can build something with it really quickly. Again, I'll cover more about this in a future video dedicated to FastAPI. Now, coming on to the file sharing app. So how is that going? I'm glad you asked. Give me a second. Let me have some coffee. Well, the progress on FastAPI app has been great actually. I've done quite a bit of work, and again for this one as well, I'll make a dedicated video on covering all the features. But to summarize it, what I've done is I've brought it up to speed. I've fixed some of the errors and stuff. Like there were quite a few issues in terms of some of the endpoints were not working. Some of the APIs were redundant. There's quite a bit of that happening. So I've actually worked on getting rid of some of that, and to make it a more complete app, make it a more complete project. And so I've done that. I've added some of the required validation, and I also added OAuth2 login with Google. This is really interesting, and while there is still a bit of work remaining on this aspect, this security aspect of it, at this stage it is complete. It works end to end. So again, you can have a look at my source code. I'll put a link to that repository in the description of this video, so you can go have a look. And please, if you like it and if you like what I'm doing, give it a star, or buy me a coffee, man. Like that would be really awesome. There's a man. So I'm gonna say, mate, buy me a coffee if you like the work that I'm doing. All of this does consume quite a bit of my time, and I enjoy it, but I'd enjoy it more if you support me. So that would be awesome. So what else have I done after that? So in addition to making these UI fixes and to make it look like a more well-rounded product, I've also deployed it to AWS, and I've configured a load balancer that would serve a secure it by a secure endpoint. This was necessary because, for me to integrate, if you were to integrate any of these social login into your application, the third-party applications such as Google, it would need to know the URI and the redirect URI, and the requirement is it's got to be secure. So you've got to your app needs to send the data across a secure channel, so it's protected. security is such a huge issue these days. So, and it makes absolute sense. So I've done that. I've configured the load balancer and to serve it via secure endpoint. And what else have I done? I've also pointed one of my domains onto this into a hosted zone that I created in Route 52 in AWS. So at this stage, you can actually access this from https documents.myday/todo.com. So it's documents documents .myday-to-do.com. You can use that to access it, and it's coming together and looking a lot more like a complete product. So I'm happy about that. So these are the things that have kept me occupied this last few weeks, and that's why it's been difficult for me to make a video. And also, in addition to all this, there were also some personal things that were personal things came to light, which sort of triggered certain emotions in me, which made it a bit difficult for me to, get the motivation to do a lot of these things that I do. Sorry, I had the motivation to work on file sharing app, but I just didn't have the motivation to do anything extra, and that is make a video. So yeah, that's that, and so that's pretty much it. So please have a look at the description of this video, and then have a look at all the links that are included. And if you like the work that I'm doing on the file sharing app, buy me a coffee, or please like my GitHub profile. I'd appreciate it. The GitHub repository and all. So I'd really appreciate it. So thank you very much for watching, and until next time, live long and prosper.